Guys, today we're doing Dragon Ball Z Good Evil. We will not be ranking characters like Ultra Instinct Goku, for example, because Ultra Instinct Goku is still Goku. We will be ranking Goku. If there's a Goku option for Goku for Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super, we'll rank all three characters separately. Same thing with Vegeta. Considering the fact that Vegeta has definitely changed as a character throughout the whole series, we'll be definitely taking that into account. So, which characters of Dragon Ball Z are good, the gray area, or evil? So first is King Kai. King Kai, this was the story itself, I'll put King Kai in good. King Kai, of course, definitely allowed Goku and his friends to train and stay on his planet. Even after Goku blew up his planet, King Kai was pretty generous to forgive Goku for blowing up his planet, and letting Cell basically blew up him and his planet, when he could have just transported Cell to a literal another planet to explode. Even though they would have killed more people. But King Kai's planet was so small that it was blown up as well. And King Kai is pretty friendly towards the Dragon Ball team as well. He also is pretty helpful in warning characters of enemy dangers and enemy threats. And he's always looking out for the Z fighters as well. First is Zarbon. He will be an evil. He is not pure evil because he's mostly just following Frieza's orders as well. He'd mostly, most likely following them out of fear. The same thing can be said about Captain Ginyu. I think Captain Ginyu is more evil because Captain Ginyu could really just change bodies of Frieza and take over the Frieza Force and do better things. So, if the character is more near the evil, the character is less evil. But the more further out, okay. But yeah, Captain Ginyu is more evil than Zarbon. Next is Mr. Sen. He is pretty evil. He is basically Master Roshi's eternal rival. He was angry and, basically disowned Tien and Chaozu because they, betrayed him and his evil ways. And they joined, the good. So, obviously, he is definitely 100% evil. And considering that he is basically like a master, but he does bad things, okay, he's basically the opposite of Piccolo. I'm gonna rank him higher than Captain Ginyu and Zarbon because those two are basically just following Frieza's orders, but this guy is basically just manipulating people to go to a school and basically teaching them underhanded tactics. Next is Bronze. I'll put him in the gray area because he does rob banks, but he does kind of do, yes, he'll be in the gray area for now. Okay, next is Super Goku. Super Goku is in the lower good. We're using this Goku as Super Goku Master Ultra Instinct Goku. Super Goku is pretty selfish, obviously. A lot of people say that Dragon Ball Super really ruined Goku as a character. So yeah, definitely, Goku was pretty selfish to risk the entire universe, but Goku is still Goku. He's still a nice guy, okay? But he was pretty selfish to the whole Tournament of Power, risking, literally his entire universe being erased, him being erased, just so he can fight people. Obviously that puts Dragon Ball Super Goku. Future Trunks is good, no matter if it's Super or not, so we'll just be ranking Future Trunks as a person. He'll definitely be good. He went back in time to basically warn everybody about the androids, and he even went back in time to help again, knowing the possible paradoxes in time travel as well, so he can help them defeat the androids as well. Definitely a good person. He also stopped Frieza for the Dragon Ball team, so he didn't cause any further problems as well. Future Gohan will be also around the same area as Future Trunks. He died before he was able to go back in time with Future Trunks, but he definitely was a good person. So, yeah, I think that, this is Future Gohan. Next is Emperor Pilaf. He'll be in the he's definitely evil. We're talking about Dragon Ball Emperor Pilaf. Emperor Pilaf wanted to basically get the Dragon Ball so he can rule the world. I wouldn't put him as high as Zarbon or Master Sin, because he didn't really kill anyone, besides attempting to kill Goku and his friends. But he didn't really mass murder people like Sen or Zarbon did, or, use underhanded tactics. Dodoria will be in the same area as Zarbon, as he's basically just one of Frieza's underlings. So yeah, he is definitely 100% evil as well. Next is Nail. Nail, of course, will be good. He basically will sacrifice his life to protect his race and planet from any harm, no matter how strong the person is. Even if it's facing Frieza. Next is Hirudegarn. I'll put him in evil. He's an animalistic creature, so I'll put him in the lowest of evil, because he doesn't really have any emotions or feelings, so he isn't really evil, per se. We're not going to be ranking this guy or Aniwaza, because, yeah, one of them's a god of destruction, where all of them would belong in the gray area, because they're just doing the job. Aniwaza was just a character that is just a fusion of a bunch of characters as well. Paragon, of course, is definitely good. He got to keep his body, obviously, and he definitely is pretty strong. And also, he's a very honorable man. Even though he isn't canon, he is definitely a good guy. But we'll put him below King Kai because he isn't really canon. Okay, we'll put him above King Kai as well. He's pretty honorable. He got to keep his body in the afterlife, as few characters get to because of their deeds. So, next is Kurifa. Again, we don't really know much about the Universe 6 heroes besides Kaba. So yeah. She'll be in the gray area because we don't really know much about her. I know Dragon Ball Super has continued as a manga, but I didn't read the continuation. I don't think they will explore Universe 6 Saiyans all too much afterwards either way. Next is Zeno. Zeno is definitely a gray area character. Probably will be in the middle, because Zeno is not really evil or good. He is just the ruler of everyone. He is just doing his job. If he doesn't like the universes, he'll just erase them. And of course, he can create new universes if he wants to. He isn't really evil or good. He's kind of like a childlike entity. So yeah, he isn't really an evil character. Next is Mars and Vegeta. Mars and Vegeta, of course, he would be an evil because he is under control of Babidi. And also, even if he is, and of course he revealed that he wasn't under control, which means he just wanted to have a selfish desire to fight Majin Buu. Which, yeah, Mars and Vegeta would definitely be an evil character, because he was basically being selfish because Goku died. He got to be around for one day. And he decided to, be selfish and gain power from Babidi just to fight Goku. Next is Omega Senran, definitely a pure evil character. Omega Senran is the combination of all the Shadow Dragons in Dragon Ball GT. He is the first character we have described as pure evil. Well, basically, he wanted to basically just, get revenge on Goku for abusing the Dragon Balls. GT is a bunch of bullshit, but yeah, he is definitely 100% a pure evil character. Same thing with Janemba. Janemba doesn't have many lines in the Dragon Ball Z, but, in the Dragon Ball movie, but he isn't canon, but he's definitely, I think, more evil. He's basically like the devil of Dragon Ball Z. If Gogeta didn't kill Janemba, then Janemba would have destroyed, basically reality. Next, I think this is World Slug. World Slug is definitely evil. He is basically like Demon King Piccolo, which I get to later. He wanted to basically conquer Earth for his own selfish desires, which is contrary to what the Namekians do. Next is Jaco. I'll put him in the lower good because he doesn't really appear much in Dragon Ball Z, because of how Toriyama writes Dragon Ball Z, but he does do stuff for noble reasons and locks up criminals. So yeah, he's basically still a good guy, even though he slacks on his job, which makes him in the lower good. Next is Bojack, another pure evil. He's a pirate. He does a lot of bad things. He's also, the leader of a pirate group as well. Then we have Goku Black, another evil character. Goku Black, spoilers for Dragon Ball Super, is Zamasu. And they basically want to wipe out all of mortal life. which will make them definitely 100% pure evil. Garlic Jr., of course, is another pure evil villain. I'll put him below Janemba and Bojack. He's basically similar to, like, he basically wanted immortality so he can become the immortal ruler of Earth. Good thing that he got, sealed away in that other dimension, so he didn't break out. Next is Bardock. Bardock definitely did it. We're talking about the movie Bardock. Well, he definitely did fight up against Frieza, but he isn't really a good person. He just still did, lots of bad things under Frieza's orders. But again, he likely was doing it out of fear as well. Considering the fact that he basically wanted to defeat Frieza at the end and try to redeem himself, he'll be below Zeno in terms of gray area. He is definitely a gray area character. Next, of course, is Android 13. Android 13 is definitely an evil guy. He basically wanted to enact the plan that Dr. Gero wanted to do, and yeah, Dr. Gero, of course, is pretty evil as well. But again, he really is just following the Doctor's orders, so I'll just put him in this. Actually, just put him in this little category here, which is just following someone else's orders that are equally as evil. Next is Cooler. Of course, he is pretty evil. Just like his older... No, I think Frieza's younger. Just like his brother Frieza, Cooler basically wanted to kill Goku for revenge for his family. And he also enslaved Namek as well, making him pretty evil as well. Next is Bio Broly, which he'll go in the animalistic TL. He doesn't really have any emotions or thoughts. Next is Baby. We also have Baby Ozaru here, but Baby, this is the first really evil version of Vegeta. Baby basically wanted to wipe out the last remaining Saiyans for the revenge for the Tuffles. Similar to Cooler, basically he wanted to turn Earth into what he wanted to turn Earth into. He is pretty evil. Not gonna lie. Next is Super Android 17, and yes, he is evil. He isn't taking orders from anyone, kind of like how in the future timeline where the future androids are taking orders from, of course, Dr. Gero. Android 17 just becomes evil and just wants to just kill Goku basically for the sake of it. But considering the fact that he does have a softer side of nature, even as Super 17, well, I wouldn't put him in pure evil. Kind of like those other villains in the pure evil category. I don't know this guy. I know he's from ZT, so we're skipping him. I didn't really watch ZT all too much. Sorry. Next is Turles. Definitely. He was the original evil Goku. He isn't as evil as the other characters, as he's only in one movie, but he did want to plant a fruit that wanted to drain the entire energy from Earth, which makes him pretty evil. We're not gonna count any of the fusions as well. Vados is one of the angels, and angels don't really have much emotion all too much. And we can also put in the Grand Priest as well, as the angels are basically in the gray area. They are not really evil or good. They're not really supposed to intervene with mortal affairs. We'll be skipping all these minor characters and going to Super Gohan. Of course, Gohan, he did whack on his train, but he's still pretty nice. He is still fight if he needs to. And I think in Super, he kind of realized that he has to fight if something bad goes on. He even got a very cool reference to the Spanish Dragon Ball community. But yeah, Gohan, of course, is willing to fight for the Dragon Ball team, and I'll put him right next to his future counterpart, because he's basically the same person. Next we have, we're going to skip a lot of these characters, like Armageddon. He really isn't the gray area, because we really haven't explored all these other universes as well. So yeah, but there is one character that definitely should be on this list, and that's Frost. He is definitely evil. Definitely an evil guy. Of course, just like with Frieza, he basically tricked everybody thinking he was a good man and does good things, but of course, Frost will do underhanded tactics to get what he wants as well. The Universe 6 characters, but the other Universe 6 characters like Botamo are really in the gray area as well. Botamo and Magetta, we don't really know much about them and the race or the kind. They just participated in a tournament. So, we don't really know if they're evil or good. The only character we know that's truly evil is Frost, out of all of these characters, as well. And we're using Despo to represent the Pride Troopers. We don't really know much about them besides that they do good and they do good deeds throughout the universe. We'll be putting all the Pride Troopers in good as well. We'll be using Despo to represent all the Pride Troopers. Because we don't, except for, of course, Jiren and Toppo. Which are the only Pride Troopers that really are fleshed out to any sort of extent as well. Most of the universe, most of the Tournament of Power characters can be put in the gray area. We'll be using one of these rules in the Tournament of Power to represent most of the Tournament of Power. They're just fighting to keep the universe because the gods chose them to fight. They're just fighting to keep the universes alive because Goku decided to be pretty selfish. Next character is Pan. She's definitely in the lower good as well. I didn't really watch too much of GT, but she definitely will fight for the Sea Fighters and definitely fight against a lot of the villains. But she kind of is annoying, but she is still a good person, so she'll still be in the good. Again, I haven't really watched GT all too much. Maybe I should watch GT. Next, of course, is Trunks in the present. Of course, he is just a kid, but he is still a pretty nice kid. He does have a lot of some of Vegeta's rudeness. But again, not too surprising given your parent literally used to be an evil man who used to do his own biddings for Frieza. So, as well. But his future counterpart is definitely good. So yeah, Trunks did end up being a very good person in the very end. Next is Mr. Popo. Contrary to the Dragon Ball Z Abridged, Mr. Popo is one of the kindest characters in all Dragon Ball Z. See, he is very caring about nature, and of course he works after the workout as well. So, he is definitely a very good character. The next character we'll be talking about is Android 16. Android 16 will be in the gray area, as he was originally programmed to kill Goku. But because Bulma reprogrammed him, he became a good guy. And because he was killed by Cell, we didn't really get to see much of his good side, besides him loving birds. So yeah, definitely he is on the good side. Next is Gohan and Dragon Ball Z. We're using Super Saiyan 2 Gohan to represent him, and of course he'll be going along all the other versions of Gohan, as Gohan was a pretty nice kid, and he'll do anything to fight for his planet and friends, like over all the other Z fighters. Next is Goten. Actually, put Goten and Trunks since they mostly have the same development. I've changed my mind about that one. But yeah, Goten and Trunks basically have the same type of development as characters. And heck, they can even fuse into Gotenks pretty easily because they have pretty similar powers as well. Next character is, we'll be going over original Broly. Definitely evil. I would put him higher than Janemba because he actually has a conscience, and Broly will just kill everybody just because he feels like it. He destroyed the whole galaxy because he felt like it as well. So definitely OG Broly is definitely evil. But I think this is Dragon Ball Super Broly. And of course, he will be in the gray area. He did fight Goku and his friends, but that was because Paragus did all that bad stuff. At the very end, Broly did become a better person, and did become his own person. I didn't read the Dragon Ball Z manga because it's probably pretty expensive to get the Dragon Ball Z manga. But I'm sure Broly will mellow out and become a better person. Next is Good Boo. Good Boo will definitely be in the role of evil. Considering the fact that the Supreme Kai that he absorbed turned him into a much better person. And especially after he expelled all of the evil from his body, he turned it into Evil Boo and later Super Boo. And of course, if we're talking about Boo after he split his evil away, of course, Boo would be good, but Boo still had his anger against Beerus over Pudding. That whole thing with him and Beerus puts him in the lower good. Next is Champa, and we'll put him in the gray area. Because he is a god of destruction, and his whole duty is destroy. Next is Zamasu, and we'll be putting Mode Zamasu as well as basically the one entity. But Zamasu is extremely evil. He wants to basically exterminate all mortals from existence. Next is Kid Buu. Kid Buu doesn't really have a conscience. He's just, it's kind of like Bio Broly and Hirudegarn, where he just goes based off animalistic vows, and he is evil, almost certainly, but he doesn't think like every other evil character. So he'll be going in the same category as Bio Broly and Hirudegarn, as animalistic evil. Next is Vegeta and Dragon Ball Z. Vegeta is definitely... we'll be put by Majin Vegeta. Vegeta is very, very selfish. He will do anything for his own gain. He came to basically the planet, to Earth, to gain immortality and rule over Earth. And also to eventually beat Frieza, to avenge his race. And also the fact that Vegeta is so selfish that he would rather have immortality for himself than revive his whole race. Which, considering the fact that the Dragon Balls can wish forever they want, makes Vegeta pretty selfish. But over the show, he does become a better person, and we do commend him for becoming a better person. But throughout almost all Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta is extremely selfish and will do anything for his own personal gain, including letting Cell become perfect, including, going to Earth to basically get the Dragon Balls, going to Namek, killing the Mechians to get Dragon Balls. Yeah, Vegeta definitely would be evil, especially in and it took until the end of the show to him to say, yeah, Vegeta's not evil anymore. So basically, throughout the whole Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta is basically evil. Next, of course, is King Cold, Frieza's father. Yes, we didn't even talk about Frieza yet, but we're talking about Frieza's father. We'll put him underneath Cooler, as we don't really know much about King Cold. He is a much more diplomatic guy than Frieza, but he probably is just as evil as his two sons. So, we're not giving him any benefit of the doubt. Next is Nappa, which is definitely evil. Again, we didn't really get to see him at least try to change into a good guy. I know there's other series that makes Nappa a good guy, but I'll put Nappa higher because Nappa is just taking orders from Vegeta. And of course Frieza, and killed millions of people. But again, Nappa didn't get the same redemption that Vegeta got. Same thing can be said about Raditz as well. I'll put Raditz actually below Zarbon and Dodoria, as they're basically Frieza's #1 underlings, but I'll put Raditz higher than Nappa, is that Raditz tried to kidnap Gohan and force Goku to be on his side as well. Also, he is also responsible for Goku dying to the Special Beam Cannon as well. Also, it's mostly because of Goku's mistake, because he couldn't hold on to Raditz's tail. But yeah, next is Dabura. I'll put Dabura in the gray area because for some reason Dabura pulls a 180 and becomes good. Again, it could be because he's under Babidi's control, but it is pretty fun and hilarious that he pulls perfect 180 and becomes a good guy. So I'll put him in the gray area. Next is Oob. I didn't really watch Dragon Ball GT all too much, but Oob is a good guy, so I'll put him in the lower. Good. He'll definitely help his friends in time of need. I'll actually put him in good. I'll keep him in the lower portion of good because I don't really know much about GT, but I know Oob is basically the reincarnation of Evil Boo, but he's actually good. And he, of course, will help his friends in any time of need, very similar to all of the other members of the Dragon Ball team, and he'll protect his planet and his wife, even with his wife. So, yeah. That's why I bumped up Trunks and Goten to good as well, because they will defend the planet if of course he's needed. Next is Hercule and Mr. Satan. This guy is, of course, a pretty tough cookie. I'll put him in the gray area because at the very beginning, he is very loud and obnoxious, and also he is pretty funny. He is pretty entertaining character, but he's seen as rude, selfish, loud, obnoxious. But throughout Dragon Ball Z and especially Super, you definitely see that he's a much better person, a much more caring person, and definitely much more understanding than the main character, the Soul himself. So definitely put her in the highest of the gray area characters as well. And in Dragon Ball Super, he is definitely a good guy. Next is Super Buu. Since we already ranked Future Trunks, we'll be ranking Super Buu. Super Buu is definitely a very evil Majin. He basically killed all the rest of the humanity because he was bored. He was bored so much as well, so he killed all of humanity. Super Buu has no good inside him whatsoever. And it is no surprise that he is an evil wrist. He is basically the evil half of Buu. Now we have Fat Buu, which is the Buu in the original before they split. We'll be counting him as well. So this is Buu before. We'll be counting this Buu as Buu before he split. Considering that he works the same, I'll put him in the gray area because he does have good inside him. He took care of Bee and Hercule, but he still was killing people just because he thought it was fun. He thought he was playing with Vegeta, even though he actually just killed them. Same thing with other characters that he so-called played with as well. He also killed Babidi, which Babidi kind of deserved it, considering the fact that Babidi, along with his ancestor Bibidi, wreaked havoc on the universe. Next is, of course, Piccolo himself. We'll be putting Piccolo definitely in the good tier. Piccolo, of course, used to be evil, trying to get revenge for, of course, King Piccolo. But over Dragon Ball Z, Piccolo has become a good guy. Fusing of Neo and Kami, two especially good people, and of course, willing to give his life for his planet, and especially his friends, especially Gohan. And his turning point was especially in the Saiyan Saga, where he sacrificed his life, even knowing the Dragon Balls would be inert for the meantime, to make sure Gohan lives as well. Yes, at the very beginning of Z and the end of Dragon Ball, Piccolo was definitely not a good person, but he definitely became a better person throughout all. And he's also the most logical person in Dragon Ball Z, definitely one of the more smarter characters in this entire series. Of course, it isn't surprising because most Namekians are good in nature as well. So yeah, we'll be ranking Piccolo right next to Neo. Next, we'll be ranking Super Vegeta. Vegeta in Dragon Ball Super has definitely become a good person. Definitely much better than Goku. He is actually less selfish than Goku. Actually criticizing him for starting the Tournament of Power, risking the entire universe. Vegeta fights with honor and will definitely fight to his last breath to protect his universe and definitely protect his family. Fighting even the God of Destruction, Sin, to make so his family doesn't die, and make so Earth, his home, isn't destroyed. So Vegeta definitely in Dragon Ball Super is more good than Goku, which is the more ironic thing in the world, as Goku became more selfish in Dragon Ball Super. Next is Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi is definitely in the gray area. Chi-Chi, again, it's how Toriyama writes female characters. She is definitely in the gray area. Yeah, she wanted Gohan to become, a scholar. Instead of letting Gohan become its own person, like parents should do, Chi-Chi basically forced him to study. And other than that, she doesn't really do anything bad throughout the series besides, some minor things, but she is mostly a good-hearted person. Next is Master Roshi. He is definitely in the gray area. You'll think, but he's good. He'll risk everything fighting Frieza and his minions, fighting for the Tournament of Power. But you gotta realize, him and, trying to sexually harass women. Yeah, that definitely lands you in the gray area. Next is Frieza himself. Frieza, I think, is probably the most evil of his family. Frieza would just commit genocide on entire races just because he is scared of them. Frieza really committed genocides after, against the Saiyans and probably many other races that he doesn't like. Frieza will buy and sell planets just because, that's how his corporation is. I know Beerus wanted to destroy the Saiyans because he didn't like the fact that the Saiyans were very selfish creatures, but Frieza basically just destroyed the planet, killing an entire race essentially out of existence as well. Frieza also shows no remorse to anyone he fights against, and plays dirty tactics against people and everyone else. Even in Dragon Ball Super, Frieza is still very evil. And actually, there's a list of pure evil characters, and of course, Frieza is listed as pure evil. Next is Tien. Of course, Tien, in the very beginning of Dragon Ball Z, he was under Master Sen, but he did become a good guy at the very end, and is, of course, a member of the Sea Fighters, and is willing to put his life on the line to save the planet, along with all of the other Sea Fighters. So he's definitely in the good tier. Next is the androids. We're not be counting the future androids into account because they are the future androids. So we're only counting the androids in the present timeline. First is Android 17. Android 17 kind of is, if we're talking about this Dragon Ball Z alone, will definitely be in the gray area. He definitely does love nature as well, but outside the Android saga, he didn't really get much character development. And we'll be counting the canon timeline, not GT. We already counted Super Android 17 for GT. And when we're counting Dragon Ball Super, Android 17, of course, joined the Tournament of Power, basically laying his life on the line to save his universe from utter destruction. That definitely makes him good. And of course, it's Android 18. Android 18 will be in the same, he'll be right by his brother in the good category. They did want to do bad things at the very, very beginning, but they did become much better people, given the fact that they realized that they don't have to be Dr. Gero's little slaves, and to carry out his agenda to kill Goku. They did fight the Saiyans at the very beginning, but they still mellowed out to become much better people. I would include them together if I did make a good evil like Wicked Benz does, because they are usually included together, or include them right by each other, as they are siblings as well. So, next is Chaozu. I'll put him right by Tien. He becomes like a background character in the future, so I'll put him in the role of good. But he is definitely a good supporting character, and does play a good supporting role in the series. It is sad that he doesn't really fight anymore, given the fact that Tien still fights, but Chaozu did become good at the very end, away from Master Sen's teachings. Next character is Chilled. Of course, he is just as evil as the rest of his entire family. Not much is known about Chilled, as he's just Frieza's ancestor. And then, next is, of course, Jiren. Jiren is definitely definitely in the gray area. He is definitely a superhero and definitely does things for good. He's also up for becoming God of Destruction, and that's all we know about Jiren. We don't really know much about his personality, other than he's very strong. Yeah, Jiren is not a very interesting character. So I put him in the gray area, since we don't really know a lot about Jiren, despite him being hyped up to be very strong. Next is Cell. Cell, of course, is pure evil. I'll put him by Frieza, as Cell basically want to take over the universe, kind of like Frieza did. Cell also, toys with his victims, and also, is evil. He destroyed an entire town. He absorbed Android 17 and 18 to become a perfect form. And Cell is almost certainly a pure evil character. There is no good in Cell at all. I know there are what ifs that make Cell a better person, but we'll be talking about the canon timeline. Cell also killed Trunks in his timeline to steal his time machine to go in the past, meaning that Cell does not care about time paradoxes and just wants to take over the world by using the androids. Next is Kid Goku. Kid Goku has been described as pure of heart by many people as well. And also he is the most innocent form of Goku. I would definitely put him below Piccolo. Well, Kid Goku of course is pure of heart. He is pretty innocent and also will be using Goku at the end of Z. Goku will fight for his friends and make sure all is good and will fight for the righteous side. He is definitely one of the nicer characters. He is definitely one of the higher characters in good. Next character is King Piccolo. Unlike the good Piccolo, and unlike most Namekians, King Piccolo is pure evil. Very similar to Cell, he wanted to rule the world for his own selfish gains. And also in the past, he also ravaged the world before Master Roshi's master had to really give his life to make sure he was sealed, so he then basically take over the world as well. Also, he killed Shenron, which is a very bad thing to do, considering that Shenron grants people's wishes, and Shenron didn't do anything to warrant being killed by King Piccolo. Next is Toppo. He is the only other universe, I think it's Universe 11, character to be in the good. I'll re-rank him simply from the Pride Troopers because he understood that a lot of Goku's plans were, with the Turbo Power was not good. It is risky the whole universe. Toppo seems to be a very, very good man. Oh, I think Toppo's the one that's going to become God of Destruction. Yeah, I forgot about that. But Zeon is stronger than Toppo. By far. But yeah, I remember now. Toppo was the one that was going to become God of Destruction. My bad. Either way, Toppo will become a pretty good God of Destruction as he'll be pretty fair. Next is Beerus. Beerus is going in the near bottom of the gray area. Well, to start with this cat. Beerus is lazy. Like, very lazy. He will sleep for 50 to 60 years and neglect his entire duty as being a God of Destruction. Beerus is also very selfish, destroying planets over very minor things. I will count him as evil, as he can swim with food to not destroy a planet. But Beerus is very, very selfish, and is definitely the reason why Universe 7 is the second lowest ranked universe of all universes, because of how lazy Beerus is. And considering that he has such an important role to play in the universe, well, he'll definitely be put into the gray area. Next is Bulma. No, Bulma's not evil. Bulma, I'll put her in, she is definitely good. Bulma, creates all the gadgets for the Dragon Team so he can find the Dragon Balls and stuff. Bulma is definitely a pretty nice supporting character to the Dragon Team as a whole. She is not a fighter, but she is definitely a pretty good supporting character to the whole entire Dragon Team. I'll put her around the same area as King Kai. Next is Yamcha. Of course, Yamcha at the very beginning was not a good man, but throughout all Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, he has become a good man, but he has been neglected, so poor below Goku in the lower good. Next is Krillin. Of course, Krillin is a good guy. Everyone's favorite space duck, the pun was intended. He is definitely one of the higher metals of good. Krillin will sacrifice himself for the greater good and to save the planet. Nearly going to near death multiple times, and also Krillin may be the strongest human of all the human characters if you exclude the androids as well. Unfortunately, Krillin was one of the first characters to be knocked off by a cheat shot by, of course, Frost. So, another reason to hate Frost. But Krillin is just a down-to-earth guy. Definitely 100%. Deserves to be near the higher levels of good. Next is Whis. Whis will be in the gray area because angels are not really good or evil. I actually put Champa right next to Beerus because Champa is Beerus' brother. And there's probably just as selfish as Beerus. So, Champa will be put next to Beerus. But yeah, Whis will be put next to the Grand Prix and Vados, as angels are not really good or evil. They don't really interfere with mortal plans. That's really the god that sucks it into Supreme Kai's job. So yeah. Next is Hit, the last character to be ranking on this video. Hit, of course, will be in the gray area, as he is an assassin. And that's all we know about him. But he is a man of honor as well. So, Hit is a man of honor and does respect his opponents in battle. So, Hit definitely would be in the gray area, as he is an assassin, but he probably is hired by Champa to take out people he doesn't like. So really, he's just following Champa's orders. And that is it for Dragon Ball Z, Good the Evil. Of course, this is not every single Dragon Ball character in the series. Definitely, there are a lot of characters, like, for example, the original Dragon Ball Super, and Dragon Ball Z that are missing, including movie characters, including some other characters. There's, like, Future Mai, and if you want to see a more expanded version of this list, definitely watch this video to the end, if you have watched the video to the end, and definitely we see if we'll do more. Goodbye.